Welcome to an all-new Downright Sports. I am your host for this show, the Notorious Sports Critic, Brent Reid, on an all-new episode here on all podcasts and on DJ Chase Radio. How's everybody doing? Last week we took a week off, and this week we missed a day. We had some studio computer and stuff wasn't working. So, back at it just in time. If you've never listened to Downright Sports before, it is a sports show for sports fans. And guess what? I'm a sports fan. So, unlike some of the other shows you may tune into and listen to and hear so many pundits or people argue over who can say what, well, here on this show, I can say whatever. And on top of that, it's for sports fans. So there you go. How about that? All right, we got a lot to discuss. The baseball playoffs is on full swing. The Giants make a huge change. They got a new QB1 and a little WNBA action as we discuss basically the excitement around the WNBA playoffs and a lot of shocking twists and turns there. But baseball, my love, my pastime, is in the final weeks of the season. The last games will be on Sunday, unless there are a couple playoff, a couple division situations. And I'm gonna touch on that. But let's talk about history. I love history. It's my favorite subject in high school. It's my favorite subject in life. It's my favorite subject to talk about. You ask my wife, I talk about history ad nauseum. Luckily, she went to school, and it's one of the things that she loves, so it works out. The Seattle Mariners made history last night. On Tuesday, they clinched a playoff spot. On Wednesday, they clinched the division. Why is that important? This is the Seattle Mariners' first division win since 2001. Okay, I'll give you an idea of some of the people that was on that team. Ichiro, Edgar Martinez was on that team. Those are the only names that kind of ring a bell and matter to me. But they won 116 games that season. Most games ever won during the regular season has not been repeated since. And went into the playoffs and lost to the Yankees in the first round. In the second round. Yeah, Yankees beat them to go on to the World Series. That was the World Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Another Seattle connection, Randy Johnson, who built his name in built his name in Seattle, would win a World Series with Arizona that season. But this is big because a lot of great things have happened for Seattle this past season. Whether it's Kyle Raleigh, who made history last night, hitting 60 home runs in the season. Now him and Aaron Judge are the only Aaron Judge, Kyle Raleigh, and Roger Maris are the only American League players to ever hit 60 home runs. Why is that important? Baseball's been around for over 100 and something years, and three guys are the only guys that have ever done it. In the National League, we've Bonds, Sosa, McGuire. Sosa and McGuire did it multiple times. But now you have just three guys in the American League. And also in the great history of baseball, Kyle Raleigh, the big dumper, is the first ever catcher to hit 60 home runs. Hell, he's the first catcher to hit 50 home runs. And now he's the first catcher to hit 60 home runs. He's the first switch hitter to hit 60 home runs. He beat out Mickey Mantle. Kyle Raleigh is doing things, and he's passing names that are historic, like beyond. The American League record is 62 by Aaron Judge, which Kyle Raleigh has all weekend to break that record. He has today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday to make it happen. But this is crazy and cool. Seattle, which is a franchise that was established in 1977, been in the same place since then. A franchise that's been popular because of its jerseys, later its stadiums. Whether it was the Kingdome, and now it's the T-Mobile Park is what it's called. A franchise that Ken Griffey Jr. without a question put on the map. And then Alex Rodriguez, Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez, just to name a handful of guys. This is a team that does not have a lot. Like, they've had playoff moments, but not a ton of playoff success. They didn't make it to the playoffs until 1995 was the first time they ever went to the playoffs. It was the first time they ever won a division. 97 and in 2001, and not again until 2005. They won the wild card in 2000. They won it in 2002. Winning it in 2002 was their first playoff appearance since 2001. And this is a franchise that started to center a lot of their organization around Julio Rodriguez, who is the center field, all-star center fielder, phenomenal player. But it wasn't until Kyle Rollins showed up on the scene and basically has completely turned this franchise around. The American League West has been owned by the Houston Astros, to the point Houston took the division lead from them. Seattle had a nice lead, and then said by September 1st, Houston just took it. And, and history has shown in the past, when Houston gets that division, they don't look back. But finally, Seattle was able to overcome, whether it's by acquiring Randy Acunza, who is a phenomenal outfielder, a big bat that they needed, and then with Kyle Riley's the everyday catcher, the everyday guy who's been without a doubt the leader of this team. He's been on Seattle. Been on Seattle since 2001. Just giving you an idea of his career here. Born and bred in the organization. Yeah. So homegrown guy for this organization. Someone that they now, and he's a little older. I'm not gonna lie. He spent the 2008 to 2001 in the minor league. So he pretty much, he's either having a fluke season or he's having, he's just hitting his stride. He did win a Gold Glove last year. He won a Platinum Glove last year. And now with him at the helm, and, you still got Julio Rodriguez, who's still very important defensively. He's still very young, 26 years old. This season, batting .275, and for so many years, that's his career numbers. For so many years, they depended on him to do it, and now he has help to get it done, and the extra pieces they have, their pitcher staff is pretty strong and phenomenal. So the question is, how far in the playoffs can Seattle go? And this is one of those type of teams where it's just special. And when you have teams that are having a special season, those are the type of teams you gotta go, you gotta watch out, and you gotta start thinking, is this a fluke? Is this a one-off? Are they gonna make the playoffs and crap the bed? Are they the Milwaukee Brewers? I don't think so. The thing that scares me about them they're a home run hitting team, like the Yankees. Teams that just rely on the home run sometimes tend to run into trouble in the playoffs because great pitching always beats great hitting. If you look at where they're at hitting wise, but as a team batting average, they are 19th in the league right now. On base percentage wise, they are currently, even with the big dumper, they're only 10th in on base percentage. So where is their strength going to come from? Well, it's got to come from the pitching. It's going to have to come from the pitching. If we look at my favorite conversation, ERA, which apparently no longer exists on the stats. Oh, there it is. I just overlooked it. If we look at teams with the best ERA, and sorry for the deep pause, sometimes I don't get all the notes, all right? Sometimes some of this stuff comes to me as I'm just doing the show. A lot of winging it. 11th in ERA, 3.87. But the good news, when we look at them in ERA, teams only hitting 241 off of them. This is a collective as a pitching unit. So teams aren't knocking them out the park. And when it comes to giving up the long ball Seattle is, that is a home run, a kind of a hitters friendly ballpark. But when we look at, they're only 14th, so they're just ahead of the Detroit Tigers. They're just under the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're under the Reds. All teams in playoff contention right now. They're just ahead of the Dodgers. They're just ahead of the Padres. They're just ahead of the Phillies and the Yankees. So they're in the middle of the pack when it comes to that, and we're going to see. I'm excited. I think Seattle being good, the Dodgers being good, the Padres being good is great for baseball because now you have East Coast teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox are back going to come up, the Toronto Blue Jays up north there, the Mets, as inconsistent as they may be. If Atlanta gets back on track, Philly's fantastic. So you got all the East Coast teams. The Cubs are back to where they're at with their guys. We're going to discuss a lot of their future in just a moment. And then now you go out west. And now there's not just one team out west that's just dominant everything. When in the case of the Dodgers, now you have a formidable foe up north in the furthest outpost of any major league team in the Seattle Mariners. And that team is exciting. Everything about that is exciting, and I'm telling you, if Kyle Rowlands can have another 2 seasons and the rest of those guys can keep performing, and this team gets a deep playoff run, Seattle going to the World Series is not, it's bad because I'm a Yankee fan, the Yankees don't go, but as a sports fan, it would be exciting because they are one of a handful of teams that have never been to the World Series. Seattle, Milwaukee, hold on, I did this the other day, I'm trying to remember. No, I think Milwaukee's been. Seattle. It's Seattle. Go around. Padres have been. Angels have been. Giants have been. I'm going all out west. In the Central, Reds have been, obviously. Pirates, St. Louis, Cubs, all have been. White Sox have gone. Tigers have gone. Cleveland has gone. Kansas City. The Mets, Phillies, Atlanta, Nationals. Crazy to think Nationals got one before them. Toronto. I think Seattle's got to be it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think Seattle has to be it. I'm not going to Google it. I'm just going to stand on it because the Rockies have even been to the World Series. Rockies have been to the World Series. Twins have been to the World Series. Texas now. Yeah, it's Seattle. It's their time. Seattle is it. How crazy would that be? Seattle, let's go. Somehow move Seattle to the National League. We get the Seattle Seattle Mariners and the Yankees in the World Series this year. Just make it happen. No, don't do that. Don't do that. All right, a lot of changes in baseball. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm going to talk about some of that. The show may go along a little bit longer, or I'm just going to do an extended version. Playoffs. A lot of scenarios right now. So the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays are in a dead heat. If you're listening to this weekend, hopefully the Yankees have won the division by now. But if you're listening to it today or you watch it live, we're going. So the Yankees and Toronto. Toronto keeps losing. Yankees keep winning. Toronto has the Red Sox again, and the Red Sox need to keep winning to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Yankees got the White Sox again looking for the sweep. The next 3 games for the Yankees are the Orioles to finish out the season. The next 3 games for Toronto will be Tampa Bay. This is key because Toronto had a stranglehold on the American League East since July, since the Yankees just bottomed and crapped out. If we go back to, let's just go back to August 1st because that's easy. All right. August 1st, the Toronto Blue Jays had a 3.5 game lead over the Yankees. All right. July 20th, that was after the All-Star break, they had a 3-game lead over the Yankees. Okay. September 1st, they had a 2.5 game lead. But the Yankees kept bouncing back and losing. Toronto was just, keeping the distance. Well, in the last 10 games, Toronto was 4-6. In the last 10 games, the Yankees are 7-3, and they are heating up. And the Red Sox are 6-4. It's not good. So the Red Sox, this is what makes baseball great this last week. All right. So the East is tied. The Central now has Cleveland ahead of Detroit, who, let's go back to the tape. On June 1st, the Detroit Tigers had a 6-game lead on Cleveland. On July 20th, they had an 11-game lead. On August 1st, quiet money, Penny. On August 1st, an 8-game lead. And then on September 1st, a 10-game lead on Cleveland. In fact, on September 1st, the Kansas City Royals were in second. Well, boys and girls, Cleveland is about to hand the most historical comeback if they win the division. Meaning, if let's say Toronto does win the division, Yankees are in no matter what. They clinch. The Red Sox are 2 games up over Detroit currently, and the Houston Astros on the outside looking in. So that's how crazy everything has turned out. Detroit is going to face the next series for Detroit, which it doesn't show me here. They do play Cleveland tonight, and then they have the Red Sox. Excuse me. So I gotta get a drink of water. I'm just coming off a cold. The headphone came out. Sorry. So you have the Red Sox in Detroit in a weekend series where the Sox need to win to make the playoffs. Detroit needs to keep winning so they can make the playoffs. And you're going to see basically the biggest collapse in baseball history, because Detroit, if they keep losing and Houston keeps winning, Detroit could just fall out of the playoffs completely, which would be crazy to think. And excuse me, the Red Sox right now are playing with house money. Hold on. I'm gonna need a mint or not get too excited. I really get excited about that. I apologize. Hold on. So Facebook and YouTube just got to see me cough. I paused it on the podcast because it probably sounds crazy. Listen to me cough. I won't get so excited. All right, I'm going to calm down. In the National League, Cubs are in. Padres are 5 up. They're probably going to clinch in a couple of days. It's the Mets now trying to hold on over Arizona and the Reds. I would love for the Reds to make the playoffs, by the way, which is a great segue to, are the Mets, without a question, about to become the most disappointing team in baseball? You win, first of all, you win the most important thing in the offseason, which is the back page of every New York tabloid newspaper in all of New York, or website, or however you want to look at it, okay? You snatch the biggest off-season free agent get since Shohei Ohtani from the evil empire. Your new owner, Steve Comey, voiced about the Mets and we're spending money, and you struggle the entire year. And every move he has made has done nothing but get Mets fans excited and disappointed. Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, has done phenomenal in bringing excitement to the team. But he is definitely the equivalent of a deadbeat dad. Hey, son, I'm coming to pick you up for the weekend. And then when you're sitting outside with your bags at the corner, he don't show up. Because the pieces he has picked for this Mets team has not helped. And God help him if the Mets don't make the playoffs with the $755 million man, Juan Soto, which my wife reminds me every time we go to a Yankee game, when everyone in the Bronx chanted in unison, F Juan Soto. You get what you paid for, Mets. You get what you paid for. Now, as I got that off my chest, it's a great soundbite later. I know it will be. Baseball's in a good position. I'm going to wrap up the segment here. Baseball's in a good position right now. You got Shohei and Judge. doing what they do consistently, giving you greatness every year. Judge just hit 51 again, fourth player to do so in history. Shohei has just hit another 50, and Shohei is showing out. You got your East Coast and West Coast guys, right? But now baseball, you actually have you have fortune. You have stars all around. If you're Major League Baseball, and I wrote this down, next season before you do the schedule, you need to make sure in some combination, in some way, shape, or form, you see or we get to see um, these assortment of players. In some way, somehow, we need to be able to see these combinations because if you want to grow the game, if you want to see this game grow, be back to prominence, back to respectability, back to people caring about it, then I need to see this. The Shohei needs to have games against Kyle Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Francisco Tatis Jr., Vlad Guerrero, Dela Cruz for the Cincinnati Reds, Pete Crow Armstrong. Judge needs to have games against them. Forget everything. You gotta make the schedule that matters. Give the fans Yankees Red Sox 19 times. Done. All right. After that, yes. No. Forget if you're going to eat Yankees Red Sox need to be on the schedule. Patriots. They made sure that the Patriots and the Colts face each other every year. You may have to do some old school, home. You don't get to do home and home. Maybe just one gets to travel. But we need to see. You're gonna get Seattle and Yankees regardless. We're gonna get Seattle Yankees in Toronto, so you're gonna get Judge and Vlad. But you're gonna get Mets, so you're gonna get Soto. But we need to see these other guys intertwined. We need to see, if you hear the noise in the background, I got the window open. You need to see Bobby Witt Jr. with the Kansas City Royals, iron sharpens iron. We need to see these great players face other great players and make them your marquee games. Baseball is, I don't know what's going to be next year, but they have games on NBC, on Peacock, they have games on TBS, they have games on a lot of outlets. The big marquee players need to be in these games. We don't need, until the O's get better, we don't need Baltimore and Dodgers. We don't need any of that. You need big games, big stars, shining bright, and hopefully that, because these guys are great stories. And I know ESPN doesn't like talking baseball. I watched First Take yesterday and Get Up do 45 minutes on the same stupid topic. It's the craziest thing to me. When you got a great baseball playoff push, great things happening in baseball, great things happening in the WNBA, but yet you could devote 40 minutes talking about how Derrick Henry fumbled. I think it's a skill. You guys devoted 30 minutes on Derrick Henry fumbling the ball. Regardless, there's a lot happening. And Downright Sports is where you can listen to it. Great segue. We're coming back with segment number 2. Giants, they got a new QB1. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, we'll be right back. You're going to go black. If you're listening on DJ Chase Radio, buckle up for some smooth tunes, a little exhibit. And if you're listening to the podcast, it's just time for the next segment after the soundbite. This is Downright Sports, everybody. Subscribe, like, and follow on all social media. Download the DJ Chase Radio podcast right now. Or DJ Chase Radio app is what I meant to say. Downright Sports, everyone.